I mean, how did this whole like persona of Big Paul, whether I talk to people in Australia when you were down there or when you're here, and that people return your call. When you tell somebody to do something, they do it. And when you say, "Hey, could you talk to this person?" People, I mean, doors open for you and your partner Eddie, and because of your vibe, your graciousness, your goodness, you take initiative, you try to solve problems, bringing value. How did this whole Mighty Paul persona come to be?
I mean, it honestly, it just you when I mentioned being present, and part
Mm,
of that is when the second thing I mentioned about you've got to be able to give, you've got to be able to do whatever it takes.
mm,
Sometimes your act of kindness lends itself to planting seeds in other people. They say, if I ever get in a position I can help that man, I will. And that's exactly what being present does.
mm,
Is when you're around and you let people know you're present, or you acknowledge them so they're not invisible in your presence.
mm.
That is when people goes, you know what, I like this guy because he at least came and said hi. The Swiss Beats video shoot that you're talking about, that where we shot with Hype Williams was the director.
He was a cool cat, man.
And it was in Burbank, and we had um Bone Thugs and Harmony was there, and the Rough Riders.
Yeah, I remember
So
that. Yeah. And you
so
introduced me to all of
yeah,
them.
you got a triple dose of musicians in one shot. Um, and at the time, Felly Fell was still a brand new radio jock to Power 106 in
Yep.
Los Angeles, and you got to meet him when he just started his career in LA. So they yeah, I honestly think just treat people the way you want to be treated. I mean, to
Mm,
answer your question, like if somebody asked you for something, if you can give it, but don't give it saying thinking, well, I'm going to give this because one day I'm going to ask him for a favor.
mm.
When you start doing the tick for tat, you'll get in trouble because you'll never have enough ticks. You'll have mostly tats.
Right. So
Just
when you're
give.
talking, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
So you're talking about what I call appreciating and respecting a person's humanity in what I do. And in doing so, nothing bolsters the bottom line of a business than when people feel appreciated and valued, right? As people for personal growth, not just because they get paid something. What I find that has created in the companies, Fortune 1,500 and 100 companies that I've coached, it creates loyalty, it creates endearment, and it creates a willingness that when they see you, you won't even need to ask, and they're going to figure out a way to get it done for you. Has that been your experience? I mean, because we're talking about you with the guys from Boys to Men, and I've been able to, you know, meet up with those guys when they were here in my region of California, the 916, to meet Sean Stockman and those guys, amazing people. I mean, you have been with some, I mean, Nelly and how he looks, country grammar, and then, but yet all of them treat you with almost a reverence and respect from what I've seen when I'm around you and them to you, right? Does that correlate with any of your experiencing, valuing people's humanity, respecting them? That creates endearment, loyalty, and a willingness to really go over and beyond. And these are superstars, but yet they give you this kind of attention and really reverence.
I mean,
Mighty Paul.
there's that saying that people don't remember what you do; they remember how that you make them feel.
Feel, yeah.
And I know it sounds very cliche, but I light up when I see certain people that have done things for me that I never expected them to do, but they just did it because. And I think I learned early that sometimes you don't know what the next person is going for, whether you're in a
Mm,
Fortune 500 company, a Fortune 10, Fortune 1000. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the components are. if the person next to you, if you have to spend the next 8 hours of your workday with the guy next to you, you might as well spend it with a guy next to you that you enjoy being around.
That's right.
Make that 8 hours fun.
That's right.
And the only way you can make it fun is by figuring out the guy next to you in the cubicle next to you, or on the bench next to you, or the desk next to you, is look at him and say, man, what can I do to help this guy get out of that ugly frown face? Because everyone has that person in the office. When you walk in, they just got that look like, don't talk to me right now, I'm busy.
That's right. Right.
Walk up to that person and make sure they see that you see them busy. Hey, I know you're busy, but eventually I'm going to make you smile. Keep going. These are things that are free. You don't need money to make somebody feel special.
Right.
You don't need what you need. All you need is a willingness to make a fool of yourself. You can't take yourself so seriously that you can't stumble in front of somebody.
Right.
So if you take in Australia, they call it, if you take the Mickey out of things, if you take the seriousness out of it, then people will look at you and goes, well, you know, I never expected him to be able to tap dance so light on his foot, but damn, he's a pretty good dancer.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, look, if all of us in humanity, if all of the humans decided that they would wake up and do 5 good things, just 5 positive things a day, their life would be increased joyously 5 times on 5.
So that's interesting, because you say it's not about the money, and intriguingly enough, in this same experience, and I've been around you again since then, and it was the same when we had the Island City Media Group meeting earlier in 2020. It's like you and Eddie and me, it's like, we will pay. It doesn't matter. No, the meal's on us, right? And then you're around millionaires and these high profile people, and you just whip out the black card and you're like, no, I got this. And everybody can pay. It's not like, it's like people are not hurting for money, but then they're also so gracious in their giving, not just making people feel valuable, as you talk about, hey man, make sure you bring value, right? But then, and they have their own value, but they're willing to spend money, and you're just like, you whipped out that black card and you were just like, nah, I got this. And then I was like, no, hey, Big Paul, you told me this was awesome, man. You're like, nah, put that away. You just said it like that. I mean, that just it's rare that people talk about that's rare, but really, like for us, when we roll around, I returned to Boise with the crew I used to be with all the time. Man, people are like fighting over the freaking bill, right? And people want to do for other people. I haven't, when people say, man, you don't find that often. I was like, man, I don't know who you're kicking it with, because with the people I kick it with, we really would help each other like that. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a little different, because our DNA is also different as Pacific Islanders, as Tongan specifically. There's a thing we call Mafana, and that Mafana, or that warmth, that